Hello everyone and welcome back on my channel. In case you're new here and you're discovering me through this video, my name is Love Myself and what I do here is review and react to queer shows as well as recommending some queer books sometimes. But as of late, I have to admit that I've been reacting to K-pop with one of my closest friends. And so if you're into K-pop as well as KBL, feel free to look through my videos because I have made quite a few reactions already. I think it's been at least 2 years almost since I wanted to make this video. I'm glad I waited because many of my favorite KBL actually came out this year or in 2023. So it's better that way, I guess. But yeah, I have been thinking about this video for a long time. One of the reasons why I'm making this video is also because I feel like it's not talked about enough. I might be wrong, but from what I've seen on like media and every time I had talk with other people, Japan is very known to make yaoi and other types of media surrounding like MLM relationship, and Thailand is also a country that's very well known and very like prolific when it comes to BLs. But I feel like Korea, at least in the last few years, has really stepped up their game and they're providing very well crafted stories. And as much as K-dramas as a whole is very known, I feel like KBL specifically is not, and I really hope this video might change that. Like, I'm talking to my audience now, the people who've been following me since my reactions to Young Models and even Heartstopper. I feel like you might find your new favorite show in one of the shows I'm going to talk to you about. So yeah, keep an open mind and please try it, because most of the productions nowadays that Korea has put out with BLs are very good, with wonderful chemistry between the actors and kind of refreshing in the whole MLM world. Like, I feel like Korea especially like brings such a special thing on the table. I'm just gonna use this intro segment to make a quick disclaimer. This list of BLs I'm going to be recommending you is divided in a top 10, but this top 10 is in no way reflecting the quality of the KBL. It's just my top 10, like my personal favorite. And since like we're all different, we're all going to be sensitive to different things, and maybe some dynamics in couples are going to like resonate in some people and in others it just like it's not going to work. Like, as an example, in terms of BL, I think that I Told the Sunset About You is one of the best, and one of my best friends didn't really like it. She acknowledges like everything that's great with this story and the cinematography and how well made it is in terms of like writing and everything, but it just like didn't touch her, and we have to accept that we're all different, and so we're going to be moved by different things, and that's okay. What I want you to keep in mind is that this top 10 is a top 10 of my preferences. Without further ado, let's get into my personal favorite KBLs.
Kim Jin-woo is a top university student who's got everything going for him except a romantic relationship. When his classmate Yoon Ki-sub assumes he can move into his home after falling on an old roommate wanted ad, Jin-woo's life is turned upside down. Keeping his crush for his classmate under wrap becomes impossible, especially when Ki-sub bets he'll be able to become Jin-woo's ideal type and make him fall for him in a week. The two are not the only ones navigating complex feelings. Ki-sub's best friend, Bal Gi-um, works multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet, and his life only gets more stressful when In-ho, his ex-boyfriend, shows up one night, determined to get him back after Bal Gi-um disappeared without a word when they were still in high school.
Number 10 on my list is Boys Be Brave. If I remember correctly, I've watched this one when it was airing, and I wanted to put it on my list because even though I felt like the story could have been told better, especially the main storyline, I really enjoyed this BL because it makes me laugh. If you need to know something about me, is that I'm not very easy when it comes to like laughing matters. It might be very easy to make me cry, but to make me laugh is hard. And I really liked the dynamics between all the characters. They had very great chemistry whenever they had a scene, and they had to like be energetic and, you know, be very passionate. And some of it was a bit absurd at times, but in a way that was very funny and never made me like uncomfortable or feel like some kind of embarrassment. I feel like Boys Be Brave is, first of all, a very interesting story. Like I said in the beginning, I wish they had done maybe something a bit different with the main storyline, because at times it felt a bit contrived. The premise of the relationship is kind of crazy when you think about it, and I liked why they did. I don't know exactly like where it went wrong for me, but I feel like they could have done a better job with writing how their feelings change from another, like, you know, like how they went from like 0 to 100. I feel like this shift could have been written better, but I laughed a lot and I really adored the second couple, and I was very intrigued by them, endeared by them, and I quite like the like sort of realistic ending those two get. It was frustrating, and I would have loved to have like some kind of bonus episode when we find them like maybe like 1 year after or even longer, who knows. But I felt like this was very like surprising, like I didn't think the story would go there for them, and so to have this sort of very positive message but also very realistic at the end, I really enjoyed that, and I felt like those two specifically had the most insane chemistry. Like, oh my god, if a sequel was ever to be made, I would love to watch it. As for the four of them and like the rest of the cast, like I said, like the chemistry was amazing, and I love the like side storyline of one of the main characters, you know, like with the girl. Like, again, it was full of surprises, but in a good way. Is this show over the top? Yes. But was it entertaining? Yes, definitely. I think that this show does a great job at comedy and also tackling some more serious themes, even though it felt a bit contrived, I think, near the end. Like, it was interesting, and I feel like maybe in the webtoon, because I think it's adapted from a webtoon, if I'm not wrong, that probably this made more sense, but the build-up of it in the show was okay-ish, but not great. If you just want a fun show to watch and, you know, like laugh and have a good time, then definitely watch this show.
Do-ho, a high school student living with his father who runs a Taekwondo gym in the countryside, dreams of escaping his abusive home. One day, his path meets that of Ju-young, a bright and cheerful boy of the same age who comes to train and live with them. Do-ho struggles to get along with their new roommate as first, but slowly change his mind the more Ju-young showers him with kindness and sincerity. The two form an unlikely bond and become each other's confidant. Before leaving, deeper feelings blossom between them. However, an incident forces them apart for more than 10 years. When they're reunited, Do-ho is back to his former shielded self, and Ju-young struggles to make him accept his love a second time.
9 place goes to Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, and this, I think, is going to be a very controversial opinion, I guess, but I really love the director of Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo. I love all of the projects, and I think that cinematography-wise, this might have been her best work. Cinema is very like a media that I'm super drawn to, and I love her storytelling, and I feel like in Let's Read the Taekwondo, she really took it to the next level, but it's only in 9th place because I just couldn't get over how clunky the writing-wise at some point. Like, I really enjoyed the first part of the story. I feel like it's very sweet. It showcases how innocent and, you know, cheesy and kind and awkward first love can be. She also did a good job with ambience and making you understand how trauma affects people differently. But I have to say that things fell apart for me after the flash forward, because although it was interesting, like on paper, to have them be separated and then reunited years down the line, the fact that we didn't see them grow and we only see the aftermath of it, and like we have some information here and there, like we know that Jo-young struggled a lot and is very affected and still has feeling for Do-hae to this day. And then near the end, when we see Do-hae's side of the story, we do see him struggling as well. But I feel like this was a very important part of who they were, and I understand like the narrative choice there. I just don't like it. I really dislike the way the conflict between the two characters unfolded, and I don't know if this was like on purpose, but all their talks afterwards like felt very dramatic for no reason. Like, it felt very theatrical, and I couldn't like just be into it. I felt like every argument they had, they were basically saying the same stuff again and again, and like, of course, in real life, like, it happens, like, it's not with one conversation that a conflict can be resolved. Like, sometimes it takes a couple of times and even more, and yeah, you do repeat yourself, but this is a TV show. This is something that we watch, and so as the audience, it felt repetitive. the way the director also played with time and how the other scenes like happened, narrative-wise, a scene would happen, and then in the next episode we will like get another POV of this scene because the scene started but with another character like maybe a few minutes earlier. Like, I understand what she tried to do, but I don't think this serves the narrative choices the best. I actually talked about this with someone on Twitter, so I just wanted to like read you some of the exchange we had because I felt like this was really interesting. One person was saying that Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo was Hwang Dae-sol's weakest project so far, and someone quoted that by saying it wasn't her weakest project, that people just felt this way because she has a repetitive pattern and she chose to have a heavier focus on trauma and healing this time around instead of like the love story. And this person felt that she polished this formula with Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, but that Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo couldn't find the right audience. And I kind of disagree with that because even in Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, I feel like the focus was very much done on trauma, yes, and how this impacts people, but less so on the healing. We did see all the mistakes Dohei made and how he like had his life back together in the end. We saw all the sacrifices and, you know, like how he finally managed to sort of break a cycle by like saving a child, and so in doing so kind of like saving his inner child as well. You see, like there are like some parallels there, and it is about healing. But I remember watching this TV show with one of my best friends who is a psychologist, and she couldn't help but feel kind of let down because we definitely hear about the trauma and the healing, but we don't really explore it that much. I feel like we explore it on surface, and the cinematography plays a huge role in that. Like I remember this scene where Dohei is like almost fighting back with his dad, but then there is like this reflection of him and he sees himself with, I think it's a knife, and like this shot is beautiful and it tells a lot. But as much as I agree that she didn't like put the focus as much on the romantic love story, like this is definitely not a show I would advise someone to watch if they just want to watch some like a romance. Like this is like no. I feel like she planted the seeds of it, like the healing and the conflict, but most of it happened off screen. Actually, at least for the healing, like we definitely see the trauma and the after effects on Dohei as well as on Joyeon, but the healing bit was kind of rushed. And then you have the penultimate episode where things finally start to change, and then you have the last one, which made me cry. Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm saying all those shit, but this show is still part of my top 10, and I did cry at the end. I think that was like so sweet and such a beautiful scene, so well acted too, like so simple in its execution but yet so powerful. It's still a great show, if only visually. Like this show is breathtaking. She's an amazing director. Like the intimacy scene was amazing, like as usual. She really captures the essence of her characters each time she has to like transcribe that love on screen and how they're making love, and that's just beautiful to watch and to witness. So if you want to watch a TV show that is very shot beautifully and that you're okay with suffering and okay with bearing some kind of like shitty communication, then definitely watch this show because it was still like good, I think. So yeah, definitely give it a chance.
Peach, a 22-year-old Thai boy, takes a daring step in his life and decides to fly to South Korea to meet his Korean friend, Yuno. Everything seems perfect at first. Peach finally realized his dream and the two can spend as much time together as they wish. But something just doesn't seem right. Yuno's mother seems cautious and reserved in Peach's presence. She is harsh with her son, and Peach soon realizes that the two do not get along well. Willing to help his friend, Peach takes matters in his own hands and tries to mend the strained relationship. But things often aren't as they seem, and his growing romantic feelings for his friend might not be the biggest obstacle they'll have to face.
The next TV show I'm going to be recommending you guys is Pitch of Time, and I think this might be the first surprise of this top 10 because it's not a very well-known story. At least not that I think. So maybe it's too old, I guess. But when I tell you this show broke me, it did. Like I have video evidences, and if I accept to just ridiculize myself on the internet, I might like make you watch me cry right now.
Mais je veux me foutre en l'air. Maintenant, elle s'est jetée au sol en essayant désespérément de faire un câlin à son fils parce que bizarrement, il passe à travers elle. Eh oh! Je vais me jeter par la fenêtre. Est-ce qu'on est sérieux? Eh, c'est trop! Ah, on dirait qu'elle le voit. Stop, stop. Ne lui fais pas un câlin, pitié. Ça va pas fort, j'ai plus de mouchoirs. Au secours, au secours.
But so yeah, Pitch of Time is a TV show that I found very, very touching and well executed. Some storyline would have benefited to have longer episodes to very expand and take as much place like they needed to really give like everything they could. But the performances of the actors just touched me, like it reached inside me in a way. I don't even have the words to explain how much I love this show, and this one is very hard. I won't give out like spoilers because I feel like you really need to get into this show spoiler free, but all I will say is that it's very emotional, it's very well done, and it broke me, and I felt like Peach and deserves better, like they deserve to be known, because like Titanic, who? Are you kidding? The entire storyline with the mom, it broke me, okay? It broke me.
Since childhood, Cha Si-won has realized that only people with good looks will grow to be popular. And he has made it a personal goal to achieve popularity by maintaining a strict personal regime and adopting a pleasant personality. As he starts his first year in college, Si-won is confident that he will be one of the most popular people on campus. That is until he meets another guy called Hyung Da-eun, who appears to be perfect in every way. Si-won's confidence in himself is shaken and he becomes wary of his new rival as tensions rises between them. It takes a heated confrontation for the two to discover their perceptions of each other are very different, and that their relationship might have been built on a misunderstanding from the start.
Blueming, another great Hwang Dae-sul project. I'm not going to lie to you guys, this might have been the second or the third KBL I've watched, so it's been a long time, and I sadly didn't have time to rewatch it before making this video, so I don't think I'll be able to really give it justice and speak highly enough of how great I think it is. But I think this is the show where her cinematography started to peak. Like, there are so many shots that are just breathtaking and wonderful, and oh my god, she has such an amazing style, and we can feel more and more how she's really interested in exploring like trauma, especially like family trauma, and how what you say and how you treat your child is really going to have an enormous effect later on in their life. I think the performances of all the actors are spectacular, and like I said, I don't remember if I was ever frustrated at the characters, like in comparison to Let's Feed the Curse of Taekwondo. Like, I don't remember like watching the show and being annoyed at what was happening on screen. I just remember like watching the show and crying when I needed to cry, and like feeling butterflies when I needed to feel butterfly. And yeah, Shiwon was a very, very interesting character, and so was Daehoon. Like, I feel like he's kind of slept on character-wise. Like, people always talk about Shiwon, and he was a very interesting character, but Daehoon, hello. I mean, maybe that's because I relate to him in a way, personality-wise. But yeah, I know that Blueming is recommended by a lot of people a lot of the time, and I can definitely tell that there is a reason for that, because it's an amazing show. Really, really amazing show.
High school friends Lee Won and Shin Ki-tae are inseparable. On the last day of school, Lee Won attempts to confess his feelings for his friend with a kiss, but Ki-tae recoils and Won runs away. 7 years later, the two run into each other again when Won is interviewed to work at a video game company. He gets the job, forcing the two former friends to develop a dating-themed game together and rekindle their friendship and maybe even old passions.
The next show I want to talk to you about is our dating sim. I know. Like I told you in the beginning of this video, this is my ranking, and by placing our dating sim before Blueming, I am not insinuating that it's like better, just that I enjoyed watching it more, if that makes sense. And it's so sad because I really wish they did more with our dating scene. Like, I really wanted to see more of their dynamics, especially after they started dating and like working together. Like, this is a very fun dynamic to explore. But I really enjoy what they did in this TV show, because they had a small amount of time but the pacing of the story felt very satisfying. Like I wasn't bored, it felt very natural. I really enjoyed the premise of the story as well. Almost kissing your crush and then regretting it, and then life made it so that you like spend it apart and then you reunite years later and you're embarrassed, but oh wait, that guy is actually into you. And I remember that I really enjoyed the way the characters were portrayed, because Leon is shown to us as very like shy and nervous in the beginning, but he gets more and more assertive the more the story goes, and it was very refreshing. Like those characters felt real, their relationship felt real, their feeling felt real. I think that the actors had amazing chemistry. I don't know if they're still friends today, but I hope they are. And one of the aspects I really liked in Our Dating Sim is actually seeing them date, because a lot of those shows, and like it's not even a KBL thing, it's a romance thing, I feel like. Most of those shows, they're going to build the relationship along the episodes, and also the characters are going to grow and like, you know, everything. But then by the point that they're together, it's the end. And if there isn't a second season and they don't introduce another love interest, and you don't actually see them be together. Like there is this sort of like implicit rule that once they're together, you have maybe like one episode of happy stuff, and then you don't ever see them again, and they can only exist in fan fictions, I guess. And since KBLs have this thing where they normally only have one season, then it can be kind of frustrating at times. So what I really liked with Our Dating Sim is that it didn't try to be anything more than what it was. Like, the storyline, although interesting, wasn't like the most like complicated to navigate, and the characters weren't like, they were good, but they weren't like layered, you know. But that's what makes Our Dating Sim great. Like it's just fun to watch them interact, it's fun to watch them confess, it's fun to watch them be together and then navigate their relationship. I would strongly recommend watching Our Dating Sim if you want to just like watch a cute and sweet romance and something like light and fun, even though there are a few tears shed at times.
Actor Kang Seo-joon goes into hiding after being caught in the fire of a public scandal. This is where he meets his new roommate, a dashing young chef named Han Ji-woo. Despite having wildly different personalities and clashing at first, the two become friends, and then so much more. However, as time passes, their love comes under threat. They realize that their outlooks on life, love and everything else appear irrevocably different. Is love enough in that case for a relationship to thrive?
To my star, the last Han Dae-soo project that will appear in this list, I put it that high because it is such a classic rom-com that I couldn't do anything but love it. Like at least the first season. The first season is very classic rom-com. Like you have those two opposites, like you have the cat kind of like person and the dog person, and they meet in the middle, and they start by like not liking each other a lot. I mean, one of them at least doesn't like the other that much, but then they changed. They had chemistry, they had great acting, they had amazing intimacy scenes. And as much as the first season is like gold and like rom-com greatness, the second season was much more complex and interesting. I'm not gonna lie, the first time when I watched it, I didn't really have a good time because like I was sad, duh, of course, but I really appreciate and value the desire from like the director to tell this story the way she did, because I feel like she took a basic rom-com and then took like, not basic characters, but you know, like archetypes of character, and then layered them very well in season 2. And my only complaint would be the same thing I talked about before in Our Dating Sim, where I'm just sad that we get like one episode where the conflict really resolves itself, and then we have sweet moments again, I guess, but then it's the end and we are leaving the characters like that. So that's the only thing I dislike in terms of writing decision and like narrative choice. Like I would have loved to spend more time with them being happy and in love, that everything that happened in season 2, but I can't lie and say that this wasn't like interesting. And if I want to compare it to Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, that's what I was talking about before. Like at least the conflict is very frustrating into my style in the second season, but because it takes an entire season to like develop it and to like see how everyone is feeling about everything, and both characters will really feel like developed by the end. And I feel like you really need like an entire season to do that, where in Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, like we only have maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, I think. And so narrating wise, it doesn't like work as well. And when we were talking about like exploring trauma and healing, this might be a controversial opinion, but I feel like she did a better job with To My Star Season 2 than she did with Let's Read the Curse of Taekwondo, because like I said, she really took the time to build up like the problems in their relationship and both characters and their flaws and how those flaws like affected their relationship. So when they went back together, it just like felt better. I don't know how to really like get my point across, but I feel like you understand. I hope you do.
After a disastrous first encounter, Bahram, a young aspiring musician, befriends Han Tae, a bright and bubbly person who comforts him when he's at his lowest. Along the years, the two forge a special bond filled with music, laughter, and mutual support. However, their happiness gets clouded by a ghost from the past, and a chain of events leads Bahram to disclose the secret crush he harbored for Han Tae all those years, changing things between them forever.
4 on this list is Seeing My Crush, which I just love so much. Like, are you kidding me? You're giving me everything I want, basically. You're giving me friends to lovers, one who is in love with the other for like years, the other who's like treating him very like ambiguously without even knowing, and then you put music, you put endless support, you put cute dynamics, you put one like cute tsundere and one like puppy, like, and a guy, like, of course this is a recipe for my happiness. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my god, Seeing My Crush was just so like so great. I know I am biased when I say that, because if I look at it objectively, like there were many things in The Right Thing that weren't really like, I mean, they could have been better, like some conflict and some like plot points I did like bat an eye about. But I love the relationship so much, and the dynamics between them and just everything, that I couldn't not put it in 4th place. And this is what I say when I'm saying that this ranking is not like a comparison of like what KBL was better written and like better produced, because if I had to make like that kind of ranking, then maybe Seeing My Crush wouldn't be like as high. But if I really look at it in terms of the feelings it like gave me, and yeah, like how in love I was with the characters, then Seeing My Crush is just, it's amazing. Like, it's so cute, it's so, it's amazing, it's amazing.
Tae Myung-ha, a man in his early 30s, is unknowingly transported into a virtual game as a 19-year-old, tasked with bringing happiness to Cha Yo-woon. A talented track and field star admired for his looks and athleticism, Myung-ha is forced to navigate a complex virtual world that also seems to include details from his own past. It all goes well until weird error messages begin to appear in the game, and soon it's clear this world doesn't appear to be what it seems.
This is where this was getting very, very, very difficult for me to like make choices, because those next 3 are very dear to me in many different ways, and I really hope that I'll be able to translate how much those works impacted me, but I don't guarantee anything. So I have to give 3rd place to Love for Love's Sake, which just left me in shambles. I don't know how you say that word, I've only ever read it. The story itself was super interesting. I loved the characters like so much. Like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, I know this is going to sound weird for the people who've watched this, but like Tae Myung is so me. Like, oh my god, he's so me. I don't think that I ever like related to a character from a BL more than I did with Tae Myung. And maybe that says a lot about me. Maybe I should see a therapist, I don't know. But I just loved him. I loved him. I love Yoon. I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name right. It's been a long time since I've watched it and I don't have his name in my ear anymore. But I loved him as well. Like, the spin his character took was like just very interesting to see. I've watched a couple of reactions and I know that some people were very taken aback by like his change of character almost. But it's kind of like funny to me to see that people just don't understand that being depressed make you like act like a very different person, and that's definitely what Yoon was experiencing in the beginning. Like he was very like withdrawn and, you know, like lonely and sad all the time because his grandma had just died. And so once he got past that, and once he like kind of started to get a little crush on Taemyong, and when he got friends, then yeah, the rest of his personality just slowly started to shine through again. And what an adorable small being. Like, I don't know if I have receipts of me reacting to the show, but the number of times I just could at my screen was definitely something.
괜찮아요. 근데 선배 발 왜 그래요?
Je vais me foutre en l'air, il est tout mimi, regarde-le. Ah, il a vraiment pas outé. Regarde comme il est tout mimi. Regarde. Il est trop mimi. Je veux pleurer. Je pleure.
일찍 일어나는 김에 데리러 왔죠.
Il est trop mimi.
If I remember correctly, I think this was adapted from a webtoon, and I definitely think that they could have done more with like the plot surrounding the characters, like the way the universe worked. Like some stuff were a bit unclear in the end, and some like aspects of the plot like appeared out of nowhere. And yeah, it was quite confusing, but it didn't really like matter for me, because at that point I was so into what was happening and the characters and everything that I just couldn't stop loving them. And in terms of like what the story is about, again, I don't want to spoil anyone, but let's just say that it's a very interesting way to look at depression and the weight of society, and how to protect yourself sometimes you reject love in all its forms, and you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable and to be happy and to be hurt and to feel. And it's just, it's a story that resonated so much in me. This was an amazing show. The plot twist involving the sound of the sea literally destroyed me. And I really hope the actors will be able to play in other things, because I think they're very talented and I would love to see them on my screen again.
Fix me up, will you show me hope? The end of the day and we're helpless. Can you keep me close? Can you love me? 나 살고 싶어요. 영웅이랑.
Go Young is a single gay man in his 20s looking for romance. He meets guys in bars, clubs, hobby groups, and hookup apps, each different in their own way. Some relationships end as short flings, while others develop into emotional journeys. Through the highs and lows of his love life as well as the experiences he has with his friends and family, Young discovers valuable lessons about himself and what it means to be gay in South Korea.
The second place of this ranking goes to Love in the Big City. Of course, obviously. I just started reading the book a couple of weeks ago and I'm nearly done. Since I started reading the book after watching the show, I think it gave me like a different kind of appreciation of the story. I think that they did a really good job adapting the novel, because the differences are there, but they do make sense. They made different narrative choice. Like stuff happened in a very like particular order in the book, and then in the show it's a bit different. Like some characters maybe are around when in the show they shouldn't be, and maybe some characters exist more in the show where they shouldn't be. And I feel like both are very great, and if we look at it as like the example of like someone's life, like a gay man's life in Korea, I feel like both did a really great job, and I really like the choices they made in the TV show because they're just more cinematographic. Like yes, definitely like some stuff sometimes they work on paper, like they work as words you read in your head, but they don't work as things you see. And so I really commend them on the adaptation. I haven't watched the movie version yet. I will get to it once I'm done with the book. But since we're talking about the series, I think this was amazing. Yoon-soo's development is just so really well done. Like, you truly see him like experience the worst and the best out of those relationships, and how those relationships shape him, and then like, you know, like how even his friendships shape him, and how living in Korea and being gay is definitely not easy, and how lonely that can make one feels. Like the concept of people moving on, and you know, like life going on without you, like you're still here, but you feel like you're like paused, like frozen in place while everyone else is moving. And it gets very sad, because those moments you like once shared with your loved ones, you know that since they move to another place in their life, you might never get them back. And it's very sad, it's very introspective, but it's also very realistic and kind of hopeful. Like, I'm trying to stay spoiler-free as much as possible, but obviously my favorite relationship in the show was his third one. He's the love of my life. He's the son, he's my son, like, he's everything. I just love him so much. And I really enjoyed the ending, because as much as I was destroyed by it and super disappointed, because for some sort of reason I really thought we were going to have some kind of like reunion and happy ending. Like, I was led to believe that by some of the spoilers I've like read, but I trapped myself, like I gaslighted myself, I guess, in thinking we were going to have a happy ending, but then we just have a realistic ending. And I really like that the final message is, you're going to live, you're going to love, you're going to lose, and yeah, you're going to feel terrible at times, you're going to feel very shitty, you're going to feel lonely, and you're going to crave death. But sometimes you just need to like change your POV, you know, like change your perspective, and then you'll realize that love is everywhere actually, and sometimes it's in the things you like didn't even know. And to have this final scene of him being surrounded by platonic love, like by his friendship, and like knowing that we're leaving him at this point in his story, but that this is not the end of his story. He's still going to experience heartbreaks, and I really sincerely hope for him that he will like one day find like a man to settle with. But yeah, to have that ending, it felt kind of freeing. Once I got past my disillusion and like broken heart over like one of his relationships not being mended, I really enjoyed the message, the overall vibe of the show as well. Like, the acting was like, it did caught me off guard, because the beginning of the show was a bit like too funny. Like, I was expecting it to be way more grounded in reality, and in a way it was, but also it wasn't. But yeah, just like, there are so many things I have to say about this show, like so many interesting storylines, like even like his relationship with his mom was so like like, I don't even like have the words. Like, it was so touching, but also so infuriating, but also like so true. Like, if you queer and you grew up with like parents who didn't always like support you, but you still love them in a weird kind of twisted way, like, it's just yeah. Love in the Big City was amazing. It's great, and I really hope it's going to win all the awards it should win, because it deserves a lot. And the chemistry between all the actors were amazing. Yeah, I could talk hours about this show, I feel like, but I think I'll stop there. If you want to watch a TV show that feels like an episode of Queer as Folk, but maybe a tad less provocative, then definitely watch this show. This truly showcases the everyday life of a gay man and the things you might go through.
Ji-hyun, a new student from a peaceful rural town, struggles to adjust to the bustling city life of Seoul after moving there for his studies. While at university, he meets Jaewon, the campus heartthrob and his senior who has just completed his military service. Jaewon slowly wins over Ji-hyun, helping him get out of his shell through numerous encounters and a passion for surfing. As their bond deepens and the hints of a romance blossoms between them, an incident changes everything, leaving Jaewon in forced isolation while he battles old demons and struggles with his deteriorating mental health.
And the first place of this ranking is The 8th Sense. Saying that I love this show is honestly not enough. Like, I want it to be in my vein. Like, I love it so much. I think Jaewon and Ji-hyun are still my wallpaper on my computer. Wait, let me just like check that right now. Yeah, they are. Okay. I think that the best declaration of love I could make to this show is to just say that it make me write for them. Like, I wrote fan fiction for the fandom. I loved everything. I love the progression of the story. I love the choices made cinematography-wise. I love how grounded and realistic it feels. It definitely reminded me of like Scam at times with like the creative choices. And I think, if I remember correctly, that Scam was an inspiration for the show. So it like totally makes sense. I just love Ji-hyun and Jaewon's relationship and them as characters and all the characters surrounding them. My only beef with the show would be the quote-unquote villains that I felt were a bit like cartoonish at times in their behavior, even though I definitely met like a girl like that and a guy like that before. Like, they do exist in real life, but their actions felt a bit too much with how grounded in reality the rest of the show is. And I don't really think that the last episode did a good thing, but spending so much time in the party scene and all the like conversations that happened between all the characters and all the issues that got resolved and like the forgiveness. Like, I feel like this definitely could have been done better and we could have done something different with the last episode. But I really enjoyed The 8th Sense. I think it's beautifully shot. It manages to like touch upon like depression and trauma in a way that feels, again, like not sensationalized. Like, the narrative is thoughtfully crafted. It leaves a lot of space for both characters to grow and change. It's also very nuanced, and I like the fact that the overall message is not that you're going to like get better by loving people. Like, it's not a straightforward journey. Like, once you've experienced trauma and if you still feel like depressed because of it, like, you might be happy or not, and like, it's really roller coasters. If this story was written by someone else, maybe they would have like romantized it a bit more. Maybe they could have made it so that like because of Ji-hyun, like Jaewon was able to put it all behind. But I like that it's not what the story does. Not exactly. Like, is Ji-hyun an inspiration for Jaewon to get better and to like take back like his life? Yes, definitely. But it's also because he's able to like see that other people around him are suffering and that he's not the only one wearing a mask. It's because he's able to understand that it's not okay to put on a mask and to make it so that everyone likes you. Like, as much as Ji-hyun definitely grown into himself in like the one season we got, like in the story, Jaewon did as well. Like, the Jaewon we have in the beginning of the show is totally different from the Jaewon we have at the end. And I really like this Jaewon. I love how confident he is about his relationship with Ji-hyun. And as much as he might be like nervous about how handling things and the age difference between them, which isn't that high, by the way, like I'm saying this, but if you haven't watched the show, like they're only like 5 years apart, I think, so it's not like a big thing. Like, there are different times in their life and their life experiences are not the same, but it's not like they're evolving in totally different spaces. Like, they're both into art, one in photography and one in like making art, like drawing and stuff, and they're both like have the same group of friends, kind of. I think they'll keep have the same group of friends moving forward, so it's not exactly as if they're like from two different worlds. But yeah, I really love how he is by the end, and I love how self-assured Ji-hyun became in his relationship with him, and it was very like touching to see his relationship with the people he met in his life, with the woman who works at the barbecue place. Like, I think she's an amazing character. Like, she's so fresh and so like bright and so like funny. I loved Eri, and I loved the best friend of Jiyoon. I don't remember his name right now. I think Junpyo, right? I loved him too. I love Jaewon's friend. I sadly can't remember her name. Won or something. Like, she was also a very, very interesting character, and I really like the fact that the show tells us in the end that they're more similar that we seem to think at first glance. If we ever had a second season, this is like a relationship I would love to see deepen. Like, I would love to see more of their friendship, and how maybe she will like help Jaewon navigate his relationship with Jiyeon, since she has more experience with dating like younger people. And even though the 8 cents can be heavy at times, I really enjoy the fact that it didn't dwell on like the melodrama and the depressing and sad aspect of the story. Several storylines are angsty, but they are also very like airy and just like light moments, and I feel like it creates a great balance. Like, there are definitely episodes that are more heavy towards the end, but it also makes sense like narrative wise. And I think that one of the reasons that made me love the 8 cents so much is because Jaewon and Jiyoon are like the embodiment of everything I'm waiting to see in a romance. Like, I love that they formed an emotional connection, and yes, there is definitely like physical attraction. They do feel attracted to each other even before like kissing and, you know, like taking things further. But I love the fact that they bond emotionally first. I love how Jaewon is taking care of Jiyoon, and as someone who's very like anxious socially, I could definitely relate to Jiyoon a lot in the beginning of the show, and how he like was behaving, you know, like as a new kid, like in a new environment, like a country kid in a big city. Like that kind of dynamic was very interesting, and I love the way they portrayed their romance. Like all those like subtle, you know, like your hands are brushing and you know you're feeling a lot of things, and just like through their eyes, like seeing how much they felt for each other, and yet at that point in the story they didn't really act on it. Like none of them really acknowledged what was happening between them, even though they had already kissed. You know, like I don't know, like it's specific things that really please me and my taste in romance. So of course I was going to vote for the 8 cents and Jaewon and Jiyoon. Like, you're giving me mental health representation, you're giving me like life-saving situations, and then like sensual encounters and like romance and slow burn kind of shit, like longing and yearning, and like of course I was going to love this show. Like, I actually think this show was written for me. Yeah. To think that the actor who plays Jiyoon hadn't had any acting experience before that is honestly puzzling to me. Like, how? Wow. And like I said, even though the writing could be maybe a bit clumsy at times for some characters, especially the villains, I really enjoyed the interactions between the characters, the discussions that took place. I think Jaewon and Jiyoon's relationship was very genuine and very sweet, and I just I fell in love with them. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you knew those BLs before watching this video and you agree with me, or on the contrary disagree with me, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to discuss some of those BLs with you. If some BLs didn't make my ranking but they're your favorites, you can also recommend them in the comments, or even like tell me why they would make your ranking. At some point I do plan on making a JBL top 10 video, but I don't know when, so I'm not going to promise anything. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to convey my love for those stories in an efficient way. I really hope I managed to like maybe make you discover some things with this video, like for those of you who had no idea, like who aren't really in KBL at all, like please give those stories a shot, because as much as we are starting to get more diversity in terms of the stories that are told in media, in like you know, like English speaking media, what I really like about Asian media is that they're already like further down the line. If you see how Red and Wild Blue was technically an anomaly in terms of film, like it's just a funny film with a prince and the son of the president who are together, and you know, it's like an enemy to love that person, blah 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 blah, like, you know, all that fun that you felt when you watch Red and Wild Blue, because finally it felt like just a simple rom-com, and like we do deserve more of them. Well, most of what Korea, Thailand, Japan and like Taiwan has to offer is that. What I really hope to accomplish with this video is make you see outside of what Netflix and American Prime has to offer. If you're tired of always seeing the same stuff, and if you want to discover more fun concepts or even like great stories, please discover other cultures. Please like watch what other people have to say about like queer stories. Again, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to be warned in case I ever post something else that you might be into. Yeah, bye!